Alright, so we're back. I've skipped a bit of the transmission assembly. The other day I was working on this transmission. The battery on the phone died, so all that's happened with that in the meantime is that I used my little 12-ton press the bearings into the trapdoor, and then pull the transmission shafts through the bearings with these nuts here. I've used the original nuts that I had here, the ones that came in the Jim's kit. I wasn't happy with those, so these are Harley-Davidson nuts here. What I'll do, as they're second hand, I'll just put a little tiny drop of Loctite on those when I torque them up. Once the trapdoor's installed in the transmission case, I'll go back in, I'll lock the transmission up, and we'll torque those up with a tiny bit of Loctite on them. So basically the transmission casing, I'll pick this up and move this over here. Spin this around. Alright, so the transmission casing, I think last time I was here, I was talking about the bushing that's in the transmission shaft just here. So this bushing here, what I was going to do was, for the transmission shaft where it goes through, like so, I wasn't happy with where the pawl actually located on the shift drum axially this way. So what I was going to do was shim up, instead of using the standard washer, I was going to make up another washer to act as a shim, which was going to then restrict the end float on that shaft. But what I've done is, had a bit of a think about it, and I wasn't obviously thinking the other day when I said that, what dictates the position of the shift arm in the transmission is where this bushing is located. So what I did was just put the puller back into this bushing, and I just moved it back this way, the 30,000th that I needed. So now the shifter arm locates exactly where I want it to be when it's fully pushed all the way over. The standard washer can be used, and the circlet goes on, and I've measured end float there, it's 13,000ths of an inch, so it's tightened it up nicely. Still enough end float for it to be nice and free, but loose enough that there'll be no binding, so I'm happy with that. So we can progress on to the next thing now, which is, since the transmission case has been washed and cleaned in hot soapy water now, so that's done off camera. That's been done off camera. The transmission case has been all nicely washed and cleaned. It's ready to go. What we need to do now is just inspect everything. The transmission shafts are all ready to go. The gear cluster's ready. All that's done. Everything's been completed and finished there. It's all brand new. New bearings in the trapdoor. What I've got here is, this is all ready to go. These bearings on the shift drum have been cleaned out. I'm just reusing these roller bearings. They don't do a lot of work, as you know. They're just backwards and forwards. They're not a high rotational bearing. The shift shaft's all good. I've inspected that. What else have I done? I've finished making the puller that I've said I was going to make up, so welded a couple of nuts onto some 1/2 inch threaded rod, some washers there, and a deep series nut there, a pulling plate that I made up, a bit of a cup for 5th gear, you can pull into that, and then a couple of pulling plates. So this one here is for the bearing, so this register or lip on the outside pushes the outer race of the bearing into the casing, and of course then you can see it's been milled out on the inner, so it doesn't contact the inner race and load the bearing when it pushes it in. The other side's been machined for the seal, so the seal sits on this side nicely, and we can actually pull the seal in using the puller as well, nice and straight if we want to go that way. And this is the other side. This is for this register here, has been machined down to fit on 5th gear, so that when you pull 5th gear into the casing, I've machined the edge of this down so it doesn't load up on the edge of the gear teeth. It actually loads up on the dog section of the transmission gear. So That way we've got no issues with chipping teeth in the transmission. So other than that, we've pretty much got everything we want, everything we need here to go ahead and assemble this transmission. So I'll put the camera down, try and set it up as best I can, and we'll go from there. Alright, we'll start recording. I'm going to start just putting this transmission together. I'll probably speed this up in post-production. Anyway, I've got the mic on. I've got a little Rode Wireless Go mic on, but the fan's on in the workshop here at the moment. It's well, it's Queensland, Australia, and it's summer, so it's starting to heat up. So I've got to have the fan on. So I apologise if it makes a bit of a noise, a bit of a racket, but that's just how it is. Right, let's go. So off camera, the first bearing I'll put in will be the lay shaft bearing. I'll press it in over on the press. Nicely installed in the case, no dramas. Make sure it turns still, which it does beautifully. Hopefully this camera's still working. For now, that's pretty much it. That's an hour and 10 minutes. Transmission's done. Shifter's done. Shift forks are all in. all works properly. A couple of things I need to get for this yet. I need to get a top cover. I don't have a spare one. Like I said, the hydraulic cover's coming from Death Metal Racing, Boosted Brad on Instagram. One of those is on its way. I need to get a top cover. I've got the gasket. I have read online that I may need to relieve the inside of the top cover. I think something here might clash. Regardless, that's easy to do. I've got a mill. Yeah, a few things I need to get yet. Need the pulley spacer for here. I'm running a later wide spline pulley, so I need the pulley spacer, sump bung, top cover, and the trans is pretty much done. And then, like I said, I can mock up the Delkron inner primary that I've got to match up with this case, and I can fit up the twin cam clutch that I have, but it may need some adjustment on the inner primary. I'll put up a photo here somewhere. I'll put up a photo somewhere, and I may need to relieve the inner primary, or potentially get a couple of shims, spacers, and shim out the compensator and clutch off the inner primary. Either way, we'll work it out. Alright, that's it for now. Oh, and a bung. Need a bung for here, a plug. Right, that's it for now.